Alright, so now for the fun part. Let's talk about exporting time. If you're using ClockShark approvals, you'll want to approve your employee's timesheet from the approvals page. From your View Timesheets page, after you've reviewed the timesheets and made any needed edits, click the Export to QuickBooks button. The next step is to select the correct date range from the date range picker and to review any yellow warning or red error messages you receive. When ClockShark jobs and tasks with time are not mapped to QuickBooks, you'll receive a yellow warning message. It's not required to have the jobs and tasks mapped unless you're exporting time from ClockShark as billable. You'll also see a yellow warning message if you have ClockShark approvals enabled and time included in the export has not been approved. ClockShark Pro customers with PTO or sick time policies with time recorded for the date range that are not mapped will also get a yellow warning message. Yellow warning messages will not prevent you from exporting to QuickBooks, and it's your choice to map or not. When ClockShark employees with time tracked are not mapped, you'll receive a red error message listing the employees' names that will prevent you from exporting until the ClockShark employee is mapped to QuickBooks. If your exporting time is billable and a job or task is not mapped, you will also receive a red error message. If you need to exclude employees tracking time in ClockShark from the export, connect with the ClockShark support team to learn how to easily do this with departments on ClockShark Pro. If something is not mapped and you want or need it to be, hit the Configure Mappings button on the bottom left to get back to the QuickBooks Integration Settings page, and then select Configure Mappings to get to the Mappings tab. If you don't have any red error messages and you've already selected the correct date range, hit the blue Export button. ClockShark will now queue for export any time shown on the screen for the date range in the Date Picker box. So the next time the web connector runs, the queued timesheets from ClockShark will import to your weekly timesheet entries in QuickBooks. You can let the web connector run on its own or sync manually right away. Make sure that the QuickBooks weekly timesheets are closed when you import time into QuickBooks, as it could cause an error on the QuickBooks web connector if they are open. If you do run into an error message on the QuickBooks web connector, reach out to ClockShark support and we'll help identify the cause. Time imported from ClockShark lands on the QuickBooks weekly timesheets found in QuickBooks under Employees, Enter Time, Weekly Timesheets. For QuickBooks employees that have the box checked, use timesheets for paychecks in their payroll settings, the QuickBooks weekly timesheets will feed into QuickBooks Payroll. If you are invoicing from time in QuickBooks, time marked billable here can be added directly to QuickBooks invoices. Time exported from ClockShark marked as billable will automatically have this box checked. The QuickBooks weekly timesheets display one employee and week at a time. But what if you want to see all of the imported time at once? We recommend the QuickBooks Jobs Time and Mileage Report, time by name, filtered by your pay period. This can easily be compared against the ClockShark Quick Summary Report by employee or the ClockShark Approvals page. Make sure not to export the same timesheets from ClockShark more than one time. If you do export the same employee and date range without first deleting the timesheets in QuickBooks, the time will duplicate on the employee's QuickBooks weekly timesheets and will need to be deleted. When you go to export from ClockShark, the export screen will let you know if you have already exported time for the date range. If you have accidentally exported twice from ClockShark and haven't run the web connector, you can use this button to clear the queue. Alright, now that you've exported time to QuickBooks, let's just show a couple of last things. In your QuickBooks screen, if you made your initial connection with auto import turned off, you will most likely want to turn it on now. Turning it on now will cause any newly created customers, jobs, service items, and employees created in QuickBooks to be imported into ClockShark on each web connector update. It will ignore any that were already in QuickBooks, since the chance to bring those in was during the initial integration process. You can also check here to see the status of your web connector connections. If you're not getting data out of or into QuickBooks, you'll want to check here first to make sure that the web connector is running and hasn't been closed out on the computer it's installed on, or the computer hasn't been shut off. Have fun using the integration, and as always, our fast and awesome support is always available to help solve any issues you run into, so don't hesitate to reach out if you run into a problem. You can connect with our support team worldwide from the chat icon in your ClockShark account, or in the United States and Canada by calling 1-800-828-0689.